Hi Node, hi Toplane. Hello, good evening. Why's my pen all beat up? I don't know where my other one is. Okay. That drawing is amazing, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, let's draw. We're drawn. Jose Rodriguez says, you should do Aztec drawings. I draw myself? Yeah, I think you got it. I think you should do the Aztec drawings. I think I'll draw whatever I want. You're always scared to put your coffee next to your drawings? Well, you gotta stop living in fear. That's not gonna pan out for you. It's not gonna pan out for anybody. This white and gel pen is not going down the way that I had hoped on this drawing. And we're just gonna have to accept that. In a weird way, it looks like a digital painting. How dare you? Honestly, how dare you? The gall. The presumptuousness. How dare you step all cavalier into my house and spread that ignorant bull? Unbelievable. Good for you, man. Good for you. Good that you feel so free to just once on into somebody else's life and just say that stuff. It's easy because you could just say whatever you want. It doesn't have to be true or not. For all you new people, I'm kidding when I talk like that. I know people need clarification sometimes. The New York can be a little thick around here. Hello, Necroval. Why, is art dead? I don't know. I sure wish it wasn't. Art is dead and we killed it. I almost took it personally. No. I just have to offer up my disclaimer every now and then that I'm kidding when I talk like that. It's very hard to actually offend me. But being offended is like the most fun mode to be in for online content, so you gotta give me a little room to fake it. Just for the lulz, as my ancient generation used to say. My god, I'm old and irrelevant now. That's fun. Alright, the white pen stuff I wanted to do on this isn't working out. It might be that there's a little glob of something on the tip of my pen. I have another one, but I'm too lazy to go fish it out. So I'm just going to draw something else. Oh, it goes down pretty nice on the shadow areas, but that's the last place I want to put it. Yeah, it's mostly New York tap water, mostly. What are your thoughts on Beksinski's work? It's great. Probably enough good things have been said about Beksinski at this point that you don't need to take it on my word. Hi, Gabby. Oh, I see something green. Barbecue Ted with the $5 incredible dollars. Thank you so much, Barbecue Ted. You inspired me to take up drawing seriously 7 weeks ago. I've made great progress in figure drawing. I still suck, but that's okay. I humbly thank you. Barbecue Ted, it is I who thank you. Thank you for the donation And thank you for giving me the honor of intersecting with your art journey at any point, beginning, middle, end. It is a great honor wherever it happens. Congrats on taking up drawing. Truly. It's honestly a psychedelic trip to think that I contributed to someone taking up drawing, because yeah, drawing is basically the most important non-relationship oriented thing in my life. So it's wild to think that I am part of someone taking that upon themselves in their life. Enjoy, Ted. Never lose the fun. Keep it exciting. Never lose your NAE, your new artist energy. Loving doodling in my sketchbooks. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. My original plan here didn't work out, so it's doodle time. No expectations, no restrictions. Let's just draw for a little bit and see if we come up with something we want to take further, or if just anything strikes our fancy. And even if it feels like it doesn't, you never know what kind of seed you're planting for later. At the very worst, bad drawing session just conditions you to get mad and want to do a better job later. So how bad is that, really? No, I have not seen Arcane. I have been watching What We Do in the Shadows, which is one of my favorite comedy shows, and Midnight Mass, which I really loved. I thought Midnight Mass was great. Hey Steven, hope you buy some coffee with those $20 I spent in the shadowing video. 4 coffees. That's what I'll buy with it. Outside of drawing, what else do you enjoy? Almost nothing. Just dancing. I'm pretty basic in my tastes. I like to draw. I like to write. I like to generally be creative, make things. I like to read. I like to dance. I like to take stupid pictures of my dog. I like to philosophize on road trips. I don't really get tired of art. Even when I'm fed up with it, I'm still happy to talk about it for hours with students and things like that. Which non-technical book about art would you recommend? Drawing Lessons from the Great Masters by Robert Beverly Hale. I also liked The Science and Practice of Drawing by Harold Speed, which is, you know, it's technical, but it's not craft technical. It's like theory technical for drawing. But I think that's a pretty good book to sort of introduce you to the philosophical weird side of art, like engaging a lot of other ideas in the art practice. I also read The Art Spirit by Robert Henry, which is good, a classic, but it's I don't know, it's interesting. I think it's an interesting read these days, since art exists so differently these days as a market, you know. Navigating the artistic impulse is quite different now, I think. What are you drawing? I have no idea. I'll tell you later. Use a brush? Never. I'd rather die. I would rather join art in the grave than use a brush. Is there Artist Day on the calendar? I feel like we need a day. Yeah, I think we do. It should be a day where all the non-artists of the world go to their nearest artists and ask them, "Are you okay? You know, it's Artist Day. I got you this card. It says get well soon." Try not to worry so much. Yep. Another day, another drawing of a beautiful woman. Such a no-no for brush, but why? I mean, it's just because they're an inferior tool for soft-minded and weak-willed people. That's why I don't use them. Okay, for new people, I'm joking when I talk like that. I know artists get very sensitive when people talk badly about their brushes. As a beginner, should I put off drawing from imagination for a while and just study reference anatomy? No, do the exact opposite. Do not do that. If your end goal is to draw from imagination, you have to practice it always, the whole time. You only get better at the stuff you practice. Thanks, Abstract. David says, Steven, have you ever had trouble balancing the other aspects of your life around drawing? I've been drawing a lot lately, which makes me very happy, but at the same time, I kind of isolate myself. Let's be very honest here. A lot of what people say about drawing in the popular culture, art in general, is untrue, just stereotypes. But some of it is true. Some of it is real. Some of it does have roots in what artists actually do and what brings us to art. And when you get into drawing, when you get into a very tactical, repetitive, skill-intensive part of art like drawing, let's be very realistic here. You are tempting the fates with things like isolation, hermitude, spending too much time alone with your thoughts. All of those things are very, very real. So if you're ever asking me, have I ever had trouble balancing those aspects of my life, the better question is, have I ever not had trouble balancing those aspects of my life? It is a constant struggle, and I'm not sure I've ever succeeded, unfortunately. I, to this day, do not do very well with even just having things on the calendar, you know? Even though I'm doing well for myself now, and I don't really need to be down on myself, and I don't need to be practicing all the time or executing all the time. If there's something on the calendar, I still experience some old residual art guilt. Like, I resent it for being there because I should be spending that time drawing. It's useless. It's not helpful. It only harms me and the people in my life. But I'm just being honest with you that once you take on those things as an artist, once you go through a really intensive period of damaging art hermitude, it can be very difficult to shake that later on in life. So, I would say be very cautious about it. Take it seriously. Do everything that you can to keep the balance for as much of the art journey as possible. And take care of yourself, make sure that you let yourself have a normal life as you go through all of this, and take times where you have trouble drawing for protracted periods as a blessing in disguise. Go out there and do something else. Talk to people. Be with human beings. Don't lose practice at that. Because it really can leave a deep mark, You know how, one of the most common, mental health, one of the most common pieces of mental health advice is to, put stuff on the calendar so you have things to look forward to? It's because of the damage I did to myself as an art hermit, I do that stuff out of obligation because I know it's good for me. But the act itself, it does the opposite. I never look forward to anything that's on the calendar. No matter how fun it is, a vacation, anything like that, it's an annoyance. And I just do it because I know once I'm there, I'll be having fun. But it does nothing but stress me out and bother me in all of the lead-up time. And that's just symptomatic of art sickness. The price we pay. Steven, what's your opinion about modern-day Polish families? Just asking for no reason. I mean, they're incredible. They're just amazing. And I think about them constantly. And it's a source of joy. Source of joy. Hold on a quick second. I'm gonna, why can't I Sorry, my focus is messed up. 1 second, I'm gonna grab a book to put under this. This is all exploration, Casey. No plan here. I'm not much of a planner. When you see me planning, you know things are getting serious. That's better. You're finally able to join a stream that isn't ending. Hooray! Huzzah! Oh, I'm gonna have to turn on another light pretty soon too. I'll do that in a minute. Do you think it's worth taking all the pain or pleasure in making art? I mean, it's up to you. You know, you've got to... I think that doing art in any kind of non-hobby capacity, like as soon as you cross the line where it's like, I make art, I'm an artist, things like that, I think that that journey is very difficult for most artists. Every now and then you get the freaks, you know, you get the people who really just don't experience anxiety about art and things like that. But I think that that's the outlier situation. I think that most people who engage in the art practice in any serious way do suffer. It does make them a little bit crazy at some point. And that doesn't mean it can't change. That doesn't mean you can't leave that behind at some point. But if I'm perfectly honest, I think it does make most people suffer. So it's up to you. It's up to you what you think is worth it for you, what kind of benefits you're trying to get out of it, and just balancing that, you know. If you want to become extremely skillful at drawing, for example, it takes a ridiculously long amount of time. It's extremely difficult to do. And if you want to turn that into money, that's a whole other problem on top of that. You're probably not going to turn it into a lot of money because it's art, you know. You can if you work your butt off and you do a lot of ingenious, tricky things, but it's by no means simple and will require, again, to be perfectly honest, just some earnest amount of pulling your hair out. So you gotta look at that, you know. You gotta ask yourself what kind of person you are, what you need, what you're willing to take, what you're not willing to take. For example, I think that for most people, it's safe to assume or to present them the thought experiment like, what if we assume that you will get good at art, that you will find a way to make good art, right? Let's say that there's no real barriers to it, it's just effort put in over time. I think it is correct to say that for most people, if they had put the effort that they will wind up putting into art to do that into anything more reasonable or rational that makes money, they could get probably 20 to 30x returns monetarily and financially, and just people understanding what the heck you're up to, compared to the gains they will get from art. So if you run that thought experiment, are you still willing to do it? You know, I do think that is the case for most people, you know, and the time investments are tremendous. So just ask yourself stuff like that. Just look at yourself in the mirror, cry, sweat. I don't know, go visit the gravestones of people who were very relevant to you in your lives and talk to their ghosts or whatever you need to do and find out. Find out what you will take and what you won't take. Hey, Christian. What's up, man? Sick graphite monster guy? You know that's what we do around here. You know that's what we do around here. Hey, Steven. I've been watching your content for some time. It really helped me see my artwork in a more positive manner. Oh, well, I'm very glad. That's funny that I'm reading that right after I was coming off pretty negative about art, but do I contradict myself? Well, then I contradict myself. I am a universe. I contain multitudes. Art is nuanced, complicated. Impermanence hits you? Permanence doesn't hit me. Impermanence is the sea that I swim in. Impermanence cannot arrive at a place that it already is. We are already ever changing. Non-artists don't see how stressful art can be, and that stresses me out. Yeah, that's why you need a community. That's why you need a community of artists to talk to. You got to make friends online. You got to make friends in person. You got to talk to other artists. You need a support group. That's really what it is. Other artists are a support group. They're not a network. They're a support group. They're getting you through the most intense, devastating emotional experience of your life. Again, as a reminder, it just tends to feel that way a lot of the time. But that's not what art is. Art is not anything. Art is not an intense negative experience because it is not any solid thing. It is whatever you make of it. As some smart spiritual person once said, happiness is available. Please help yourself to it. Steven, I took your advice and made a piece instead of just studying. I lost track of time and it was very fun. I couldn't pull myself away from the paper. Ah, Winter Squash. Today's golden ticket goes to you. With this golden ticket, you are forever allowed access to the sacred halls of art. You've made it. Congratulations. You've graduated away from the humdrum pain of a study-focused life, and now you're really making art. We're so happy to have you. No, I was not being cheeky. I am always genuine about the benefits of project-based work. And I am certainly genuine about the hell that people put themselves in by being obsessed with skill-based work. There's no quicker way to ensure your own insanity than casting a magic spell on yourself that says you're not supposed to be making the art that you want to make. Now there's a cruel joke. Thanks, Magda. You're very kind. You are very kind, Magda. Thanksgiving is... we just like eating turkey. That's all it is. Who knows why? Turkey's not that great. Starting reading all your comments here, seeing if anything stands out. I just read your chat sometimes like I'm another person in the chat, you know. I only address stuff that like it's really directly pointed at me most of the time. I think somewhere in art school it was drilled into me that I had to only make skill-based work so that eventually I can make the art that I want. Ouch. Yeah, that's That's just a way to keep you down. The person who put that in your head is a thoughtless person. There's also probably you who put it in your own head. You know, you just casually absorbed it from the ambiently from the air of the art culture. But that is not the case. You must never forget why you did this. You got to do the thing you want to do. I gotta turn on another light, 1 second. Christian says, would you rather fight Stan or Ahmed? I'd rather fight them both at once. Dispose of them quickly and get them out of my hair. I don't need to waste my time fighting both of them separately. Where'd my stump go? Where's my stump? There it is. Steven, have you ever thought why the devil is half goat, half man usually? Why not pigeon man or something? I don't know, man. Goats suck. I think it makes sense that the devil is half goat. Goats are just scary, dead-eyed creatures. Screams sound like human beings. They're always just like standing in the wrong spot, staring, whispering. Sometimes you wake up and they're right over your bed, looking at you, breathing in sync with you. There's just something off about goats. Do you have a personal vendetta against goats? It's not a personal vendetta, it's just like a natural vendetta. As a sentient being, I'm naturally horrified by those uncanny meat robots that have nothing behind the eyes, that seem to only be vessels for spirits malicious and strange. It's not a personal thing, it's just, that's nature, that's biology. Goats are fine, natural beings more than us humans? No. No. No, and it's my YouTube channel, so no. And that's it. We're done here. I get the last word on this one. All right? We clear? Everybody good here? Everyone gets how this works? All right, good. Stay away from goats. Hi, Stephen. Random question here. How long were your preparatory stages for your drawings when you were a beginner intermediate artist? Thanks. I mean, that's a really broad question. It depends. I still always did just impulsive, unplanned improvisational drawing, which had no preparation. But yeah, I mean, the preparations for things that did have preparations varied between, you know, just a little bit of prep, few minutes here to gather reference or something like that, to, you know, I consider myself as having been like I was working lots of jobs while still feeling like I was doing things in an intermediate capacity, and on jobs the preparatory stages can last months, you know, depending on the kind of work you're doing. I mean, if you're doing design work, in some sense, it's all prep. Because as soon as the thing is done being invented. As soon as the prep is done at a certain point, it's like the job is basically done. You know? And then you're just illustrating. But the design part of designing is all prep work. It's searching, it's finding, it's developing a language, problem solving, researching. You live in one big city with lots of graffiti. Do you ever feel the rush to paint massively on a wall? How do you feel about mural art? People have asked me to do it before, but I honestly don't feel a lot of desire to do that. I like to work generally smaller, you know? I have ambitions of doing giant drawings when I have more space, you know, maybe like 12 feet wide or something like that, but they would be on big pieces of paper. They would not be on walls. That's just not the kind of work I like to do. I don't like graphic work, generally, you know? Something like a big mural, you've got to work pretty graphically. And I'm really about, I'm about itchy, 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 itchy. Tons of little lines, tons of little gradations. That's what I like.
Hi.
Bless you. Steven, how did you find a pic of me waking up in the morning to draw this from? This is clearly me gathering my formless ooze up from under the covers with my super ripped arms. Yeah. I mean, how did I find it? I really feel like the answer to that should be obvious. I mean, pictures of you doing that go for pennies on the internet, Nathan. There's no lack of them. The better question is, like, how would I avoid finding pictures of that, you know? Your style is pretty realistic. Have you done also some comic style drawings? What do you think about less realistic style? Are you interested? I'm interested, but I haven't gotten into it in any deep way in a long time. I did one very recently, actually. I have a video coming out soon that shows me doing a comic style ink rendering of one of my old drawings. It was a lot of fun to do. It did pique my interest, I have to admit. I just don't know what I'm going to do with that interest yet. Steven, if I'm pursuing concept art as a career, should I be focusing more on doing things like orthos, 3/4, product sketching, room cutaways, and technical drawing skills, even if it's kind of painful? Yes. That is the stuff that you should be focusing on, but yeah. My stance these days, if I'm perfectly honest, is that if you tell me you want to be a concept artist, my first reaction is, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Like, A, you probably aren't sure what being a concept artist is. B, you probably don't know what kind of concept artist you want to be, which is a problem because concept artist isn't a real job, right? It's not one job that is the same wherever you go. It's a completely different job at every studio and on every project that you work on. And yeah, you probably think that a lot of work that people on the internet just say is concept art but isn't is concept art, and you think that's the kind of stuff that you're going to be doing when you have that job, and usually it isn't. So unless you're very, very, like, this is not a conversation I would really have with just a random person on the internet, you know? I think that that's a conversation to be had between a mentor and a student, someone who can know you personally. If I knew the kind of research you had done, if I knew your beliefs, if I knew what you thought as a person was going on here, I could tell you if you were accurate or not, but I think it's really dangerous to just go off of what people you don't know is saying online and think you're going to do that as a job. Most people and most of the things that are said about that job on the internet are completely fallacious and ridiculous and untrue. So just watch out. Do a lot of research. Most people who say something like, I want to be a concept artist, but man, the technical drawing stuff is a grind. Yeah, you're probably one of those people who you don't actually want to be a concept artist. You want to be an illustrator. And a lot of the stuff that you think is concept art is actually illustrations. And if you find that stuff to be a grind and it's a bummer, you should probably take that super seriously. It's not going to stop being a grind. Design is hard, man. Design is hard and it's exacting. Do you think artists have a responsibility for the messages their art sends, or is that something entirely outside of the artist's control? I think it is ultimately outside of their control. I mean, you can take responsibility for the part that you do intentionally, but so much of the reception of art is without intent and by accident and, you know, just a random product of the time in history that you're in that, yeah, I don't think ultimately you can take responsibility for everything. Neither for your failures nor your successes. There's no free will. Fight me! Wow! I'm just kidding. Don't fight me on that. Have you read Berserk or Vagabond? I have read Berserk. Not all of it. I've read part of Berserk. I tore my paper again. I must have got some alcohol on that little spot. Do you have any beginner courses anywhere? Completely vibe with how you explain things? No, I don't have anything in the way of a course yet. I am working on my educational magnum opus, The Principles of Design. But it'll be a while before that comes out. And that'll be, well, if I do it right, it'll be applicable across all the skill levels. The closest thing is my beginner exercises tutorial on Gumroad and on Proco, but that's not a course. That's like a collection of especially useful exercises that I just explain how to do, and then you should just do them quite often. Do you think the speed while drawing has a big influence in the general process, going fast versus slow? I think working at a variety of speeds, relatively fast versus relatively slow, I think that has a big impact. You know, I think it's useful for most artists, but If you mean like, oh, I'm a fast artist, I'm a slow artist, like, oh, I do things in an hour versus I'm an artist who does things in 100 hours, I don't think that matters. I think that's just comes down to the individual artist. I really don't think an artist should worry about that very much. Sometimes it's nice to just pick a period on the timer, like just set your timer to 5 minutes and say, for 5 minutes, I'm going to make changes to this drawing as fast as I can and as big as I can. And draw frantically, draw all over the drawing the way a pig eats. And then once the timer goes off, go back to drawing extremely slowly and methodically and being as precise as possible. Where did you get these scars? These on my hand? These are just from mistakes made at the fire pit. That's all. I must be low in some vitamin or something that just burning myself for a split second on a fire pit would leave permanent scars like that. But that's where we're at 31 years old. Thank you, Futyuski. Hi, Stephen. Do you think going to Art Center and getting into debt was worth it in the end? And could you have done it without that? I am 18 and I'm thinking about whether university will be worth it. I don't, me personally, I don't know how to track questions like that. Like, how do you think it would have gone if you had not done this big thing in your life? It's like, I'd be a different person, you know? And I personally, you know, with the philosophical beliefs that I hold, I personally believe that everything else the same, if I rewound the universe to the moment that I decided to go to Art Center, I would always pick to go over and over and over again, forever. So I don't really see it as a possibility that I wouldn't have gone. And yeah, I don't know. I know I'd be a different person if I hadn't gone, but that would just be such a butterfly effect situation that I couldn't possibly guess. Maybe I'd be better off. Who knows? Maybe I'd look at the life that I have now and be like, ugh, dodged a bullet on that one. Like, I have no idea. So I don't know how to track that. The general advice that I give to people is that if the money is a concern at all for you, you shouldn't go. Basically, right? For all intents and purposes, I don't think you should go, but it's your life. And you should do whatever you want. And if the money is no concern, if you just come from a wealthy family or you're independently wealthy or something like that, you should absolutely go. You should definitely go. That's usually the advice that I give. Thanks, El. What are the pins in the top left corner? The birds are Amaral Duri pins. These are my friends Fernando and Juliana. They're artists in Los Angeles. Fernando's an art teacher, does freelance illustration and design. Juliana, I think, is working at Titmouse in animation last I checked. I don't know if she's still there. Did you have mentors? I had very few people, maybe none. I was never in like a formal mentorship situation. I never had someone who was like, I'm your mentor. That never happened for me. But I was lucky enough to many times be in the company of very, very good artists where I could pester them with questions constantly, and we were friends, and I learned a lot from listening to them. And I had a peer group. You know, I had my school classmates who were excellent artists, and they taught me a lot just ambiently. So I like to think that I did have mentors, but if you're talking about the classic mentor situation, I did not have that. I've got to hop off at 4 EST, so we've got about 13 minutes here. So if anybody wants to ask, you know, their most troubling questions, if they want to get down to the real stuff, now would be the time. I'm just kidding. Average, any kind of question is fine. It doesn't have to be the dark depths of the art soul. Bye, Arctic Monkey. Monker. What do you think about NSFW art? Got no problem with it. That kind of art probably has the longest history of any kind of art, so you're in good company, historically speaking, if that's the kind of art you do. It's never been much of interest to me, if that's what you're asking. It's just never been much interested. friends. What's the sound of a single hand clapping? I will not be dragged into Zen combat like that. If you want to go to Koan War, we will do it in the official interview format. Neutral territory. I'll, do whatever it takes. I'll float a paper boat in the bathtub for you, or whatever the answer is. Whatever the answer is from the particular Buddha field that I'm emanating at that moment. Which Power Ranger saga was your favorite? I only ever watched the first one. Thank you, Lindsay. The honor is all mine, Dr. Purple. The color drawing looks like it was done with Copics. You made those markers sing if that's the case. Oh, thank you. It is done with Copics, yes. I do not know if Devin Corwin is colorblind. Oh, thank you, Chady. Yeah, I did that drawing, this one, on in my Patreon Discord a while ago, chatting with people in there. That was a nice one. It's fun to stream and get to talk to people, not just asynchronous with text, but also with voice. It's fun. It also takes the pressure off me. I get to just let them run their mouths. I can focus on the drawing. Stephen, what do you think is better? Do art of what you love or do art that you know will be successful? I think on a long enough timeline, the answer is whatever you need at the moment. There's times in your life where you need art that's deeply personal to you because it's medicinal to your soul. And then, well, if art is the only way you make money, sometimes you need money. And your soul feels just fine. It's your stomach and your apartment that need fixing. So in the long term, I think both are relevant and valid. I think it's dangerous to get caught up with, trying to pick which one is better in some absolute sense. As Forrest Gump once said, only a Sith deals in absolutes. I'm just going to chat for the next few minutes since I'm going to be hopping off. I want to animate stylized realistic drawings like yours. Do you think it's a logical thing to want to do? And what do you think I should be focusing on in order to achieve that? My guess is that with current technology, drawings like mine are unanimatable. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't get there if you developed some interesting tools or something like that. I bet there's a way that you could get generative adversarial AI to animate a drawing like this, but I think it's probably highly unrealistic for even a small team of people. Maybe a large team of people could do it over long enough timelines. But the other problem there is that at this level, it's completely idiosyncratic. Like, I don't know what I could do to get another person to draw like this because I can barely explain it. So I don't know how you'd ever get the team on the same level, you know? How do you really figure out what type of concept artist you want to be? You need to experiment and do research and talk to people behind closed doors. Don't talk to... You need to finagle some way to talk to professional artists at the kinds of places you think you want to work. You've got to find ways to talk to them not while they're being broadcast on the internet live forever. You've got to you got to find them at conventions, meet them online, and ask them off the record, what the hell do you actually do? And use that as your real data. What was the original style that really inspired you to draw? I remember I've been drawing all my life, but I really started to get serious when I discovered comics. Video games and like Dragon Ball Z were some of the earliest things that made me want to draw. But I wouldn't say that they were a huge portion of my inspiration. They definitely kicked me off on doing the fantastical, but I don't think very much about that when drawing anymore, you know? The Dragon Ball Z obsession with exaggerating anatomy definitely stuck. Did you ever have to get a real job when studying or after Art Center? Also, did you have a full portfolio after finishing Art Center? How did your friends get jobs after college? I'm in the very fortunate position that basically all of the money I've ever made in my life has been off of art. So, I didn't have to get a real job. Did I have a full portfolio? Yeah, but I got the jobs that I got immediately after school off of only like a couple pieces in that portfolio, not the full portfolio. And how did I get jobs? Recommendations. So I said, you got to make friends. You've got to have a network. You've got to have artists that you commune with and journey with. I'm sure I would have figured it out at some point, but without my friends, I wouldn't have started working so quickly. What would you say your favorite word is currently? What's the last word that really fascinated me? What was it? Let me Google it, make sure I have it right. Yeah, dang. Efflorescence. That was the last word I found that I really loved. I love that its two meanings are so diametrically opposed in how mundane and how poetic they are. Efflorescence's first definition is unfolding like a flower, and then the second one is the salt seepage that comes out of incorrectly made concrete. I love that. All right, guys, I gotta go. Sorry, but I have a hard out at 4, and I spent too long searching for words. Bye, everyone.